Ooh, what's going on, guys? BouseFeenux here, and today we are finally taking a look at the Lance in Monster Hunter World. But real quick, before we get into that, just wanted to let you all know that I will be going out of town for a few days, so there won't be any new videos over the weekend. I was trying to make multiple videos a day to have a few to schedule while I was gone, but these weapon and guide videos take me a while to make, and I didn't want to rush them. Rest assured, though, I will be back next week. Anyway, let's get on with the video. The Lance. As a Lancer, your job is to stay in the monster's face and deliver a constant stream of precision damage. To do this, you have a number of mobility tools. The strongest shield guard in the game, amazingly long range for a melee weapon, fantastic counter-attacking tools, and very precise strikes that work well to hit monster weak points. At first glance, this weapon may seem clunky, slow, and unresponsive, but it's extremely mobile and versatile in the right hands if you give it a chance, and I'll admit that when I first picked this weapon up, I really didn't like it. It was kind of my main weapon in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite back in the day, and I played a little with it in Monster Hunter Generations, but back then I was pretty new to the franchise, and I didn't quite grasp the finer concepts, so Lance felt really boring to me. But in Monster Hunter World, it has been vastly improved, and it's probably one of the best weapons you haven't tried yet. Now, I know I say that about every weapon I make a video on, but seriously, give Lance a shot after watching this. It can be a lot of fun if you like nuanced weapons and counterattacking. When it comes to moveset, the Lance is pretty simple. The main challenge here is just learning when to use each of the tools provided to you, so let's go ahead and take a look at that in the training area. So starting with the basics as always, you've got a poke attack that comes in two different flavors. Triangle gives you the first one, which is a nice, straightforward mid-thrust, and you can chain 3 of these together. The circle combo gives you a high thrust, which is excellent for reaching flying monsters or taller monsters' heads, and never underestimate the reach of this attack. You'd be surprised what you can hit with a high thrust. If you're feeling extra spicy, you can mix up mid and high thrust in any combination in a 3-hit combo. Pressing triangle plus circle gives you a wide sweep attack. This is good for hitting monsters that dodge around you, and you can use this attack anywhere in a combo, but you have to do a poke between each sweep. At pretty much any time before or after an attack, you can evade. Pressing X gives you a back hop, and pressing X plus a direction on the thumbstick will give you a side or forward hop in that direction. By doing this, you can kind of give yourself an infinite combo because what it does is cancel the recovery animation of your last attack. So your bread and butter combo is going to be essentially 3 pokes and a hop to reposition yourself, which you can rinse and repeat as necessary. But let's move on to the more advanced stuff. By pressing R2, you can guard. There are several different options you have from this point. While guarding, if you hold R2 and press circle, you'll go into a counter thrust. If you're hit while charging this attack, it'll cancel the guard and you'll automatically perform a counter attack. If the counterattack charges all the way, you'll perform a counter thrust, which is a far more powerful version of your high thrust. To cancel the counter thrust manually, execute the move by just tapping R2 and circle. This gives you the cancel thrust. You can go into the counter thrust or cancel thrust at any time during or after a combo, and you can chain this into attacks afterwards, which means this is another way to cancel the animation at the end of a triple poke combo. So this gives you options. At the end of or during a combo, you can hop to cancel an animation or cancel thrust. This is great for staying in the face of an aggressive monster because you can trade hits and keep attacking, so get used to throwing this one in your mix-up toolbox. Also while guarding, if you press triangle while holding a direction on the thumbstick, you'll perform a guard dash. This moves you forward while guarding, so it's great for closing the distance and still defending yourself at the same time if you're unsure if you can approach a monster or not. After you guard dash, you have 2 options. Pressing triangle will give you a shield bash that does a little bit of stun damage to the monster if you hit the head, and pressing circle will give you a leaping thrust that hits multiple times and does mounting damage, so if you land this enough, you can mount a monster with this attack. Lastly, while guarding, we have the dash attack. Pressing triangle and circle while guarding will execute this, and during the dash, if you hit the monster, you'll continue to do damage the entire time you're running into it. You'll also continuously drain stamina while dashing. You can end this dash by guarding, or you can press triangle to execute a finishing thrust. If you dash for a long enough distance, your finishing thrust will become more powerful. While dashing, you also have a few mobility options available. Pressing down on the thumbstick and X at the same time will cause you to do a 180-degree turn. Pressing left or right on the thumbstick and X will allow you to strafe to the sides, and pressing forward plus X on the thumbstick will cause you to leap into the air, and while airborne, you can execute an advancing jump thrust by pressing triangle. As you can guess, this does mounting damage as well. Our last tool while guarding is the power guard. While charging a counter thrust, you can press R2 and X to enter power guard. During this, your stamina will rapidly drain, but you've got improved guard during this time, and if you're hit, you'll automatically execute a fully charged counter thrust. You can cancel this into the fully charged counter thrust by pressing circle. You can also aim the counter thrust by pressing a direction on the thumbstick and then circle. And lastly, from guard, if you press triangle while guarding, you'll do a little guarded poke that you can chain into a dashing attack. Finally, on a slope, you can jump into a jumping thrust, or you can jump into your dash attack by pressing R2 when you land. That about covers it for attacks, folks. Let's take a look at armor and weapon recommendations. Crafting a lance is pretty straightforward. While status lances are amazing and they're totally usable because you'll be hitting the monsters so much, I highly recommend going with an elemental lance, and that's going to shine because more often than not, you're going to be hitting the monster's weak point 9 times out of 10 if you're precise. Elements do amazing damage when smacking the weak part of monsters, so pick the right lance for the job, or do like I did and make a couple that fit with a variety of situations. But that being said, you really can't go wrong with either choice. As for armor skills, evade and guard are going to be your main defensive options. For accentuating the damage dealing potential of the lance, I'd highly recommend you take weakness exploit. This gives you more affinity for striking weak parts. And as always, these stats are just recommendations. This isn't the end all be all for lance, and there's a lot of good skills that work well with it. Just play around and see which ones fit your playstyle. With that being said, I'm wearing the Azure Wrath set with the Dragon King eye patch for weakness exploit and a guard 3 charm. You're always going to have better results with a mixed set, of course, but I'm a fashion hunter, and the skills I get from the Wrath set for Lance are pretty a-okay for my playstyle. I mean, who can turn down Mind's Eye, am I right? But that is about it for the Lance video, guys. In closing, I just want to give my final thoughts by saying that while it may not seem like it on the surface, the Lance is a very interesting weapon, and I'm not sure if I'd recommend it for brand new players, but if you've got a few hunts under your belt, I highly suggest picking it up. Now, for me personally, I learned a lot about different monsters' movesets and when to counter, and those skills really transfer over to other weapons like Charge Blade and Gun Lance. Now, simply put, I do feel like the Lance is Monster Hunter's thinking man's weapon, and if you enjoy strategic, nuanced combat and turning the monster's attacks against them, then this is definitely the weapon for you. But if you enjoyed this video or you just found it helpful, leave a like down below, and if you're new here, don't forget to get subscribed so that you never miss a new video. And if you haven't already, join my Discord by using the link in the description below to get together with other like-minded hunters on PS4 and Xbox One. Until next time, though, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next one, and as always, thank you so much for watching.